Veteran NASA astronaut Scott Kelly spent nearly 1 year in orbit on the International Space Station. A living medical experiment. Talks about that and so much more in his book. It is called Endurance, a year in space and a lifetime of discovery. You had a lot of time to think up there. You probably could have come back with the completed manuscript for your publisher.
Yeah, perhaps if I had more free time, maybe.
Is you really that occupied? Because I would think that there would be an awful lot of idle time up there. Not really.
Yeah, actually not. I mean, we have a lot of work to do, a lot of scientific experiments or, maintenance on the space station, and just living in space takes time. So I was never bored, didn't feel like I had a whole lot of time for extra stuff.
And it says almost a year, at 340 days.
Yeah.
Did you just want to call down to Houston and say, another 25 days wouldn't kill anybody?
I did, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't up to us when we came back. It's kind of up to the Russians with their Soyuz schedule. And, I was happy that I launched in March and landed in March, and that was close enough for me. Right.
Speaking of the Russians, the permanent crews are American and Russian, and you'll have visitors from other countries that come by from time to time and stay with you for a couple of months. You were the commander on 3 of what they call a mission.
Mm-hmm. Expedition.
Expedition, yeah. Because it's kind of funny. It's ongoing, so it's not like it begins and ends.
Yeah.
You saw the Russians at work. Their style of work is a little bit different from the American?
Well, what I would say is they have been great partners. They're great friends. Their space program has to do more with less. They have less resources, and that makes them do things somewhat practical, mm-hmm. that at times can seem a little bit humorous.
Yeah. Well, you said for example, you're on a spacewalk. You've quit when you're done.
Mm-hmm.
They quit when it gets dark.
Yeah, they take rest when it's dark, and it allows them to kind of re-energize themselves, because it's pretty physical activity.
Yeah.
But then the downside of that is you have to do twice as many spacewalks.
Well, that's absolutely And describe that first time you step out of the space. You're in a zero gravity environment to begin with, so it's not quite like mm-hmm. stepping off the edge of a building or something. But mentally, in a way, it is.
Well, when you open up the hatch and the Earth is 250 miles below you, and you are going at 17,500 miles an hour, that's that's a pretty real moment, and you got to be really careful, and it's it's something you never really thought you would experience, so it's quite surprising.
And as much as you rehearse and practice and plan these things, sometimes things don't go exactly right. And you describe it, the mission, as part boredom and part absolute terror.
Yeah, sometimes it can be. I wouldn't say I was terrified, but there are definitely moments that really get your attention, and it's very serious business. So we have to be very careful.
I would think that anytime you hear a creak or a thump or some noise that you're trying to figure out, okay, mm-hmm. what was that, and do I need to go get my oxygen tank?
Yeah. Interestingly enough, when you're there for a really long time, I became very in tune with how the space station was operating, even so much to where at times I could feel like a certain vibration and know, maybe a fan was getting ready to fail in a certain part of the space station.
Yeah, a fascinating story. And the most frequent question you get from kids is?
What was it like?
How do you go to the bathroom?
Yeah, well,
that would have been
I try to avoid that one.
Yeah. You just trust this kid. It's not fun. It's not fun. You're going to be speaking tonight at 7 o'clock. You love meeting crowds, meeting folks at Highland Park United Methodist Church. It's free, but you are asked to register, and we have a link so you can do that on fox4news.com. The book, once again, Scott Kelly, Endurance, and a living medical experiment while your twin brother was back here on Earth.
He had the hard job.
He had the tough job being on Earth. You had the fun job. Thanks so much.